back, everybody, to another edition of the Auburn Undercover podcast here on the Auburn Undercover YouTube channel. Outside of football facility, after talking with Hugh Freeze, Jason, a little recruiting roundup, as we've been calling it. Little is the emphasis. It was a quieter weekend in terms of visitors. One of the most quiet weekends I can remember under Hugh Freeze and this staff in terms of overall visitors that were here, high quality visitors. It's some people kind of freaked out, and some people, as people do on a message board, where I can't believe there's such few guys here. When you look at the situation, you brought in a lot of guys in for Ball State. You're bringing in everybody for Georgia, your next home game. There was Alabama, Wisconsin.
Well,
there was Georgia, Tennessee.
Yeah,
there was Florida, LSU. There were a ton of good games in this area, and it was a morning game.
Yeah.
Did you really want to load up and bring in guys for South Alabama? No, not particularly. So we didn't see a ton of guys come in, but there were still a handful of interesting names. Maybe one of the biggest ones was one of your current commitments, Wilson Zierer. Every time you can get him back on campus, it's big. This was his first home game. He couldn't make it for Ball State, but get him in, and he says that he doesn't plan on visiting other schools. Now we'll see if that holds. A lot of guys say that.
Yeah.
They do go and visit other schools, but as you keep building up that offensive line room, he's probably one of the biggest and most important commitments in this class.
Yeah, no question. He's off to a really good start, senior season there. Younger brother of Wilson Zierer, and he's a big physical guy, a guy that has a ton of upside and potential. And we were kind of talking about some guys that weren't recruited at Auburn over the years, and it's guys like this. You look at him, and he is not a finished product, but that's okay on the offensive line. You don't have to find a finished product that comes in and starts in year one. This is about development. And for far too long, Auburn wasn't about development on the offensive line. Now, this staff is. They've done a good job of recruiting guys. And obviously, you had to go out and get some older guys because they weren't ready. That's part of development. But now you start looking at the Dre Carters of the world, or look at Tyler Johnson, some of these guys, and you go, man, the growth development part of this the next few years is important. And that's what you look at a guy like Wilson Zierer. You get a guy like that, get him on campus, keep building depth on the offensive line, and that's a guy that you hope in a couple of years is ready to take over.
Kind of forgot that he even visited, mainly because he wasn't on the visitor list. Showed up as a surprise on Saturday. Didn't want to talk afterwards. Shadarius Toodle, back for his second straight Auburn game. Visited Georgia for their home opener, or season opener, I guess it was. And then he's been in Auburn the past 2 weekends. Again, we touched on it last week, asked the question of, is it nothing, something? We said it's kind of somewhere in between. Probably rises a little bit when he comes back for a second straight weekend. I think it was noteworthy or interesting that, again, it was just him. I think he had a couple high school teammates, but his family wasn't there. Dad wasn't there rocking the blazer that he has. I peeked over at our Dogs 247 message board with our guy Ben Wolk over there, and one of the subscribers over there mentioned, I thought his dad was the biggest Georgia fan. He's got the Georgia blazer and stuff. He's got blazers for every school. He had Auburn blazers. He sells them. And so as Georgia fans are getting more familiar with the Toodles, that's something they probably have to learn a little bit. But I think it's noteworthy that the family wasn't necessarily there. But it's also noteworthy that Shadarius is making his way all the way back up, 3+ hour drive one way to go watch Auburn play South Alabama.
Yeah, you got a brother playing baseball, another younger brother that's playing high school football too. So there's a lot going on. So not a big deal. I think the biggest thing is he's been to 2 Auburn games already. That's the biggest thing. This is a staff he knows, he's familiar with, opportunity there at linebacker. So just getting him on campus is a big deal for Auburn as you start to move forward. And again, knowing that you got Georgia, Alabama games on the back end of this, you would expect at least one more time to get him on campus.
I think you're seeing a lot of different moving pieces here with the linebacker board. You're still evaluating what is Jaquez Wilkes as a player for your defense. Where does he fit in? Braylon Outlaw, the Tennessee commit, was back. I still think Auburn is not pushing that one really all that hard, but they're obviously keeping him warm. He visited, and he said he's going to be back for the Georgia game. He didn't want to do an interview, but he said, hey, I'll be back. I'll be back for that Georgia game. Shadarius Toodle, I think the staff is still kind of watching and seeing how he performs, how he could fit in as well. And you've got Wilkes committed, obviously, Adam Balagoon Ali. I think they want another linebacker, but I don't think they're stressing it. I think they're being very kind of careful and precise. And it's kind of, as I just said, a multifaceted evaluation of where does this guy fit? Where does this guy fit? Do we want this guy? Could he fit in this position? What's kind of going on there? I think we're seeing that kind of play out in real time.
Some of that, too, is because of what's happening now for this team. When you think about, Elijah Melendez, we've seen Bryce Diaz both playing well. Xavier Atkins has really come on as a sophomore. So you look at the young guys there. Obviously, DeMarcus Riddick as a sophomore. Do you think about what happens because if Jared Smith continues to come on at that kind of linebacker spot, the outside spot? Do you move J.J. Falk back to a true linebacker? What happens with Joe Phillips? Can he go back and be a true middle linebacker? I wouldn't be surprised to see that happen. There's moving parts not only in recruiting but also on your current roster as well, and those are things that factor into maybe what this class might look like down the road.
Yeah, you're trying to figure out. Robert Woodyard could be back for another year. You're trying to figure out that. So many moving pieces. I do not envy Will Redmond and the personnel team and the staff.
It's part of the world we live in now.
Yeah, of any coach, any staff in the country. Jason, other names that were there: Jalen Scott, Auburn's 2027 commitment. He was back for the first time this season, visited Oklahoma the week before. He said, look, it's so early for him. He said, look, I'm going to go experience other places. I want to go see other schools. I'm not shutting it down.
Yeah.
As my junior season is just barely getting going, I'm going to go experience other places. But I feel really good about my choice. Jalen Moore was an intriguing 2027 offensive lineman that looked pretty good. So those were a handful of names that were there over the weekend. Not a ton. Looking forward to Georgia, and we'll obviously preview it a ton more in coming weeks. I think the Georgia game, what will be almost more telling for me is who's not there than who is there.
Especially if you win one or both of these games for Auburn, and it has that massive appeal, then it could tell. It might tell both on both sides too.
That's my thing, is like a guy like Tank Jones that we think Auburn is still going to be in with. If he's not there, I might get a bigger takeaway personally for me if he's not there than if he is there.
Yeah, correct.
What is going on with Trenton Henderson, guys like that. So that'll be really interesting to watch. That's kind of the big thing to keep an eye on moving forward. Who schedules visits, who's coming in for that weekend. Jason, unless I'm missing anything.
That's it. I think
we touched on the guys. The Wells brothers, we can touch on them real quick.
Still on hold. Still waiting. I think Auburn still feels good. I think about both those guys and kind of what you can get from them. But Christian, as of right now, it's pretty quiet on the brothers.
Yeah, and anytime there's a delay, that causes a little bit of a concern for good reason. And I think the delay has come from Texas's side, from what I've been able to gather.
Yeah, still pushing.
And that they don't want to let go of Corey. They want to keep their defensive line commit, and Auburn really wants him to flip. And so it's kind of a juggling back and forth of, do I want to go play with my brother at Auburn? Do we want to do a dual flip?
Yep.
Do I want to stick with Texas? What's going on? Me personally, this is me guessing. This is not intel based. I don't think because it didn't happen on the anticipated timeline of what was supposed to kind of go on last week, I don't think we'll see anything until the Georgia game. They said they were coming back. They're expected back in. I think that's when you could see things start to kind of pick up again there. Maybe something happens over the next couple of weeks, but I think it might just end up taking a little bit more time. Again, like you said, still feel like Auburn can get this one done, still feel like they can get it over the finish line, but you might just have to get them back one more time to kind of truly seal the deal.
And I think that's it. You're like, sometimes it either happens really quickly or it takes a little while for it to kind of filter out and maybe be back on campus again one more time. So find out, but I think we both still feel good about Auburn's chances with both those guys.
Yeah. So we'll wrap it up there. Appreciate everyone tuning in to this week's Recruiting Roundup. Have the full slate of shows coming this week as well. The roundtable to kind of wrap up the week and head into the Oklahoma game.
Get ready to go to Norman.
And then you and Nathan, who's behind the camera today since Patrick is out, you'll be out there at Norman. So have a ton of coverage, have YouTube videos, stuff like that from the game there. So definitely make sure to stay locked in there. Stay locked in at AuburnUndercover.com. We'll catch you guys in the next one.